Okay,
the person filming this is Carlos Miller, right? Do you agree with that? What direction is he walking?
What direction is he walking?
What direction is Carlos
away
Miller walking?
from the line.
North or south?
He's going south.
Okay. He's heading south. Okay, where's the government center?
The government center was almost 2 blocks away from that.
North or south?
Was northeast.
Okay, so he's walking away from the government center. Would you, yes?
That wasn't in the government center. That was about a block and a half away from the government center.
My question is very specific. He's walking south, correct? Government center's north.
Correct.
Okay, what does he just say there? You didn't hear it?
I can make it out.
He's blocked off, I'm blocked off. You didn't hear him say that?
You're asking me, sir. I'm answering you.
All right.
I couldn't. I can't make out what you're saying.
He's walking across the street there, right? Is he walking east or west? Can you tell?
I can't tell.
Objection, Your Honor, this is very vague and confusing. It's, there's no way to tell which way someone's walking. And
Okay, I can clarify, Judge.
Well, this is really a question for the witness and the witnesses. I don't know.
That expressway, right there. What is that?
I believe that leads west.
Okay, that's I-95, right? Is that I-95?
Yes, it's I-95 that goes north and south.
It appears like he's walking towards I-95, he's walking west, right?
It could have been, right?
Where's Carlos Miller standing? Right there. Where does it appear that he's standing?
I know that he's standing in the area. I can't tell you specifically where he's standing.
The sidewalk, doesn't look like he's standing on the sidewalk.
I can't tell.
What direction had you guys just come from?
Okay, from there we came from the north.
Okay, and you're heading back, what direction are you heading in that video?
Well, I believe that in that particular section, we're information.
Okay, well, you're getting ready to walk in what direction? Do you know?
I'm trying. There were, I believe, we are,
What are you doing there?
I believe there we are walking, I would say south.
Are you
It's-
sure?
No, it's just very confusing
Right.
once you see it, yeah.
It appears like you're walking back north, correct? Northwest, actually. towards
objection, the
expressway.
witness just answered is confusing. She doesn't know. Counsel's testifying.
Objection sustained. This is the answer.
So you're not sure what direction they're walking at that time? This gentleman here with the camera, what's his name?
I don't know his name.
Did you have a conversation with him that night?
I had a conversation with many of them, but in every news station, they have different reporters, different cameramen. It rotates constantly.
So you don't know if you had a conversation with him or not.
I don't know.
So you don't know if he was one of the people that you told, you're okay, you can stay with me.
No, the reporters that were with me, well, actually, it weren't the reporters, it was just the cameramen that stayed with me to finish their final shot. They all had identification, and I had been with them the whole evening. So I
That
would
specific
remember.
gentleman, you said you would remember. You don't know who he is or what station he's with.
By looking at the video, no.
And you don't even remember if you had told him it was okay to stand there or to be with you that night.
If he was with the media, he was there. If he wasn't with the media, he wouldn't have been able to be there because I wouldn't have escorted him.
Okay, so you escorted that gentleman then?
I escorted the media.
Okay. Specifically, this gentleman, you don't recall, you're assuming he's media because he's there, so you're saying that you must have talked to him. Is that what you're trying to tell the jury?
No, that's not, you're putting words in my mouth.
I'll
That's not
rephrase.
what I'm saying.
I'll rephrase. Only cameramen were allowed with you guys, right?
Cameraman, yes.
Okay, this gentleman, individual over here, with the red shirt, holding up something to his ear, who is he?
I don't know who he is, but in that section there, I don't believe that's the section at the end. Is that the end section?
Explain a
The city does have a camera.
little bit. This gentleman here with the beard that just walked by the camera, who is he?
Okay, when I placed Mr. Miller under arrest,
Do you know who he is?
I know now.
No. Then, did you know then who he was?
No, I had not seen him.
Okay. He was not arrested that night.
Correct.
You were not aware back then he was with the Miami Herald?
No, I was not aware back then that he was with Miami Herald.
He is walking away from you guys. You guys are walking in one direction, he's walking away, correct? In that video, very clear, very simple question. You're walking in one direction, or that your police officers are, and he's walking in the opposite direction on the sidewalk, correct?
The line is very long. I can't be watching right at the front of the line, and also the middle of the line, and also the back of the line, and also the reporters.
No, that
So-
wasn't my question. Specifically, in that shot, I just asked you, so you can all see it here, he's walking in the opposite direction that it appears the police officers are walking.
Yes, that's what it appears.
That's where you stop Carlos Miller, correct?
No, that's when I see him.
That's where you see him. You arrest him shortly thereafter, right now.
Shortly thereafter, as we walk towards each other, yes.
Okay. This gentleman here, who is he?
I don't know.
Now, you're the major of the Public Information Office, right? Or your Public Information Education Bureau
Yes,
chief?
yes,
Then you supervise public information officers,
yes,
administrative personnel,
yes,
school crossing guards,
yes,
the police athletic league,
yes,
DARE, the
yes,
gun bounty,
yes,
Crime Stoppers.
yes,
You were pretty much the boss of all the people I just mentioned.
yes.
So, when you tell somebody to do something and they don't do it, what happens to them? It's not a very good thing, correct? When you give somebody a directive as their boss and they don't do it,
Objection relevance to this
They are
case.
to follow.
okay.
I'll
So you're used to
I'll
people,
have some leeway, go ahead.
you're used to people following your orders and doing what you say they're supposed to do, correct?
Of course.
But specifically, that night, you never gave Carlos Miller a specific order, correct?
He doesn't work on it.
Okay. You have 4 or 5 liaison officers, right?
I have actually 4, yes.
Okay. And you're also familiar with the staging area that was set up that night?
Yes.
Okay. Was Glenn Garvin in that staging area? You don't know.
I don't know.
Were the people that were walking in the direction that your officers are walking in that video, were they in the staging area?
The staging area was set up in the beginning, which was right across to the west of the building of the government center. Once we started moving the demonstrators out of the area, that is no longer considered a staging area.
Now, you mentioned media identification cards, and so these people had media ID cards.
Yes, they always have cards on them that specifies what channel they represent.
You guys no longer issue media identification cards.
We haven't issued media press cards, I believe is what you're referring to for a long time.
You used to.
Over 15, 18 years ago.
Yeah, so those people that used to have those ID cards, I guess they were different than everybody else because they had the IDs. Your specific Metro-Dade Police Department IDs.
It was way before I got to media relations, so I really wouldn't be able to tell you what they look like.
Yeah. They're no longer issued, and you just testified to that.
Yes, sir.
And that's because they were being misused, correct?
I would think so. I don't know why the department, like I said, I wasn't in that unit when they were issuing them over 15 years ago, so I don't know why they ceased using them or issuing them.
Okay.
But it has happened. So I would assume, if you're asking me to make an assumption, I would assume that that's probably why.
Your Honor, can I approach?
Yes.
Give me a second, Your Honor. Give me a second.
There's another deposition of Nancy Perez. I want to give to the judge.
Right. You know, Your Honor, I have an extra copy of the deposition, so I'm about to refer to it to the court. It's here somewhere. I'll just have to, Your Honor, my copy
Whatever you want.
after I'm done with it. Okay. You specifically just said that you're not sure why they don't give those press passes out anymore, and you said you're not sure.
I can assume that it's because people might have been misusing them for personal reasons. That's what I would think, but that if you're asking me to positively tell you exactly why, I wasn't in that bureau back then.
Okay. You gave a deposition in this case.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I was there. There was a court reporter there.
Yes, sir.
And you specifically, I'm referring to page 10 of your deposition question, line 17. Line 17 to 25. Actually, before we even get there, you say you guys don't give out press passes anymore. Answer, no. Question, why is that? They are being misused by individuals because they would not be returned when they are being used as identification for inappropriate instances. You didn't say anything about assuming that. You knew the answer to that question when I asked it to you in the deposition.
You're asking me to be specific. Are you positive? No, I'm not positive. I would assume that that is what I have heard in the department, that that's why they stopped using them.
And that's because media is no different than any other individual American in terms of rights and abilities to videotape and record, correct?
Correct.
So a person with a media card doesn't have any more right to videotape the police than does a person without a media card.
Correct.
And that's why you guys discontinued them.
Correct.
Now, the way you identify members of the media is because you deal with them regularly. You get to know them.
Correct. They come in their trucks, they have their microphones, their cameramans with them, and all their gear with them. Yes.
Glenda Milburn, you know who she is.
Yes.
Okay, she's always on the, especially the police officer beats, and she's covering stories at the courthouse.
Yes.
Okay. Let's identify some of the former media that you recognize.
Objection relevance? Did you say former media?
Yeah, forms of media.
Oh, forms, okay.
Newspapers. You recognize that as a legitimate source of media?
Yes.
TV,
Yes.
magazines,
Yes.
blogs.
Yes.
Referring specifically to page 12, Your Honor.
Yes. I don't have a copy.
Okay.
Oh, you're making a record.
Okay. Line 11, question, is there a blog that you follow or you prefer? Answer, no. Question, so I guess in your mind, a blog is not a form of media. Answer, I don't. That was your answer, as you gave it in your deposition.
Yes, I don't follow blogs.
The question specifically was, I guess in your mind, a blog is not a form of media, and your answer was, I don't. But today, here in court, you now recognize them as a form of media.
I would like to see the deposition.
Sure.
Thank
Petition
you.
approach?
Thank you. So you, man?
No, you just wanted to look at it, I'm gonna ask the question.
Oh, okay. No, because there's one more.
If there's more in there, you're welcome to move that as well.
Thank you.
Judge, I'd
Okay,
ask that
Judge,
the
I-
witness be allowed to qualify her answer and explain. I think that's the whole point here, that the witness has a right to.
She wants, she can.
Thank you. You asked me. Somebody you would agree that someone who has a blog that is followed by 300-400 members, more of a lot of legitimate form of the media, who has a phone or cell phone, just kind of, rallying people together, would you agree with that? And I said, my answer was not necessarily. Is there a blog you follow or you prefer? And I said, no. So I guess in your mind, a blog is not a form of media. And I said, I don't. And you said bloggers? And I said, I do not know that much about blogs that I will be able to answer that. And you said, I understand, okay.
Petition approach?
Yes.
You don't follow blogs, you don't know anything about blogs. Blogs are not a form of media that you read, correct?
It doesn't pertain to my job, the blogs.
So in this new age, where a lot of these young kids are getting their information off the internet, you don't consider blogs a form of media?
It's not what I consider, I utilize the tools that I have been utilizing in the past, that it has been successful for the community and for the department.
So you decided what's a form of media that you are willing to accept?
Well, you'd be happy to know that we did start a Facebook for the department, and we've been very successful. It's only been a couple of months, and we have a lot of likes.
Okay.
So,
Now, do you ever post any information on the Facebook page?
Objection, relevance.
Cross-examination, I'll allow it.
do I personally?
No, I mean, you said the department started a
Yes,
Facebook page,
yes,
right? I'm assuming that it doesn't just sit there, information is put on the webpage, correct?
correct,
And people can read that.
yes,
That's available to the public.
yes.
And I'm assuming you don't make stuff up when it's put, I mean, not you, but the department doesn't make stuff up when they put it on the page, correct?
No,
Right? So it's all forms of information that you want to get out to people,
correct.
right? And that's the reason you guys created the Facebook page just 2 weeks ago, you said.
No, I didn't say.
I'm sorry, 2 months ago.
Yes.
Now, you're familiar with Barnes and Noble,
Yes.
Okay. and you're familiar that Pixar is a blog that Barnes and Noble keeps. You weren't aware of that? Pixar.
Not to object to relevance, Your Honor. This is it's a cartoon, Pixar?
Pixar, sorry.
No.
You never
I
heard
don't know
of
about
it?
it. The answer I thought was no. I don't.
No, okay.
No.
Right. And so you were also unaware that Mr. Miller works, I was actually had a contract with Barnes and Noble, and they were hosting his blog. They paid him to host the blog. Were you aware of that, or did you become aware of that afterwards?
I did not know Mr. Carlos Miller, so I would not know anything about his employment or who was employing him or anything to that effect.
You arrested him that night. Did you ask him, who do you work for?
No, I did not ask him.
Miami Beach 411, have you ever heard of them?
I've heard of Miami Beach 411.
Okay. It's a travel website. They give information to people who come to visit Miami Beach, that kind of thing.
I've never visited their site,
But you've heard of them.
but I've heard of them.
Okay. Are you aware that Carlos Miller was working for Miami Beach 411 at the time?
I repeat myself, sir. I did not know who Carlos Miller was, so I have no information on his personal life, his business, his career.
To you, he was just another protester with a camera. That's your opinion.
He was with the protesters.
And in fact, he, according to you, made, I guess, some derogatory comments towards you? Or insults? I
Yes,
think your words were specifically that he called you some names.
yes.
Tell us what those names were.
Well, he used the F word several times.
Okay, names. He called you names. You said he
Oh,
called you
okay,
names.
well, okay, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. He made mention of the F word towards me several times.
Specifically, you can say, it's a courtroom, you can, feel free to
Judge,
judge.
badgering the witness, she obviously isn't comfortable saying a swear word. It's not necessary or relevant to embarrass her.
The witness said that Mr. Miller's called her names, so I want to know specifically what names he called her. She said he used the F word, so specifically names that were called to her, I want to know.
Sure, the jurors know what the F word means.
You can, if you don't mind. This is not coming from you, this is coming from someone else, you're repeating someone else's words.
He used the fuck word.
Did he say fuck you?
And he said, you fucked my shot, and you got in my fucking shot, and
Did he call you he used the B word? Did he call you specifically a name? Because you referenced that he called you a name. You made it sound like he was offending you in some way.
well, I do find when people look at me and say those words, I do find that offensive, I'm sorry.
So he didn't use any names, he just used the F word.
With the word you in front of it, so I would have assumed that you would be, if I said you would assume it's you.
He said F you, really? Is that what you want this jury to believe?
Objection, counsel's testifying, mischaracterizing the witness's testimony.
Really, he said F you?
This is cross-examination. Overruled.
Yes,
Okay, you're with Enrique Bravo the whole night, pretty much, right?
in and out, the majority of the evening, yes.
Okay, and he's videotaping the whole incident,
Yes.
and he would have captured him using the FU word.
Well, Mr. Miller posted on his blog the fact that he thinks that is
Is there gonna
why I
object to
arrested him.
unresponsive?
Any words from the state?
Well, he hasn't given the witness a chance to even answer to find out if it's responsive or not.
You can answer.
Did he use the word FU on his blog about you?
In the blog, he posts on his video that this is why he thought that I arrested him, was because apparently he felt that I blocked his shot. And that's why he just said, you know, why you effing my shot, you F you, and other words, which is untrue. I mean, we were trying to post the line. Nobody was trying to block anybody's shot. I mean, everybody would have been filming all night.
Now, Mr. Garvin, you said you didn't know who he was, right?
No,
You didn't speak to him all that night.
no.
And you're sure you never spoke to Glenn Garvin that night?
If I did, I do not remember it. It was very hectic.
Give me a second, Judge. specifically as it relates to the government center, you were sent in there to clear the government center. One of the 101 building,
Yes,
and you guys did that.
yes.
Where was your directive? Or is it written anywhere that you guys were supposed to clear the area for 3 blocks down the street from government center? Is that anywhere in the directives that you were given? Or is that something you guys just chose to do?
Those were the orders that were given to us on the scene, yes.
Well, on the scene? Okay. But before, you were told to just clear the government center.
But we have to allow the demonstrators a safe area on how to exit. We can't just say to people, leave and not ensure their safety.
Okay. What's unsafe about the sidewalk?
It wasn't a sidewalk, we were walking in the streets.
That specific instance where you arrest Mr. Miller and he's standing on the sidewalk, what was he doing that was unsafe?
That was at the end. We had already cleared out that area, as I have said before, and we were walking back towards where we started initially. And that area, we had sealed it off. What was the concern, the safety factors that you were asking me?
No, specifically, what was, you know what, I'll rephrase it. Specifically, on that sidewalk, what authority do you have to ask him to not stay on that sidewalk 3 blocks away from the government center that you were clearing?
That place, we had sealed it off. We had sealed it off to ensure that we had pushed the demonstrators as out of the area.
I understand that.
I understand.
My question is more specifically, what authority do you have 3 blocks down the road to tell an American citizen to not stand on a sidewalk when you clear the government center 3 blocks away?
Objection asked and answered 2 times already.
It goes directly to the heart of my defense.
I will allow it if you can answer.
Yes, thank you. We went back there and we had cleared and secured the area. We were walking back towards where we initially started. There is no problem in him being in the sidewalk once we had left, but that area was secured for that particular reason, that if they would come back, which is what we were told not to allow, we had to maintain it that way, closed out.
Okay. What direction is he walking in that picture? You said you didn't know,
He
right?
is walking north.
Okay. Northwest?
Well, there he's just walking north, he's not walking east or west, he's just walking north.
You don't know where he's going. You have no idea if he's going back to his car. Am I right? Do you know where he was walking towards?
He was walking towards the back of the officers.
It wasn't like he sat down on the sidewalk and refused to move. He was walking in a direction. Do you agree with that?
He was walking behind the officers, behind the line, yes.
No further questions.
Would the state like to ask anything else?
Yes, Judge. Major Perez. In the video I just showed you, is there another way that Carlos Miller could have left?
Yes,
Did he have to walk back into the area he was just pushed out of?
no,
When he's walking right here,
Oh, no, you say the door. Hold on. Hold.
can you watch what he's doing, please?
Bunch over there, everyone. Hey, get this back.
Does he try to sidestep you?
yes,
Did the protest that night have to come to an end at some point?
yes. We had been there for, I would say, close to 4 hours, or maybe even more than that.
Could Mr. Miller have left earlier?
Yes, all the demonstrators could have left early.
Is it reasonable that the police have to stay there all night to make sure protesters don't block back in?
Yeah. To a certain point. Once we cleared the area, then the city of Miami, because that really, the building belongs to us and the outskirts, and then the rest belongs to the city of Miami. And the city of Miami also experienced some protesters coming back into their area, so they also got arrested.
There was some discussion about the guy with the beard, Glenn Garvin, I believe his name was.
That is what So,
Was his behavior different from Carlos Miller's?
oh, very much,
Was his demeanor different?
yes.
Why? How?
Well, when I was arresting Mr. Miller, that he was being led away, the gentleman, I believe it was him, that came up to me and said, "Oh, officer, I'm lost, and I need to get to my car, and I'm lost." So I didn't know he was part of the Occupy Miami. I thought he was really lost. He's an older man, an older gentleman.
Was he ever doing anything like screaming at you, this older man? Do most journalists scream at you?
No.
Was Carlos Miller acting more like a journalist or more like a protester?
Objection, that's irrelevant. It's a personal opinion. That's
What was your question, please?
Was Carlos Miller acting more like a protester or more like a reporter?
And you objected to that?
yes.
Sustained. You don't have to answer that. Next question.
Can anyone have a blog this day and age?
Everyone, a lot of kids do,
Can anyone have a newspaper?
if they can afford it.
Now, was Carlos Miller doing anything wrong by being there filming?
No.
So why was he arrested?
He was arrested because he failed to comply with the dispersal orders and to leave the area. He could have left.
There's been some comments about his blog. What does he write about on his blog?
Judge, objection, that's hearsay. It calls for hearsay. And I have a specific motion that I'd like to reserve and
All
make
right.
outside the presence of the jury.
All right.
1 second. What's the name of Carlos Miller's blog?
I don't object, it's inferential hearsay.
Sustained.
Thank you. No further questions.
Defense.
I don't have any questions, Judge.